Hello again, everybody. Anthony Aniano here from RotoBaller Radio and RotoBaller.com with the Week 15 sleeper and value plays. Now, keep in mind, everybody, nobody on a bye this week. We have Thursday night. We have three Saturday games, full slate on Sunday, as well as Monday Night Football. So it's a weekend full of football for the first week of your playoffs. You're dealing with injury, whatever it may be. You're playing in DFS. These are some players who can help you out over the course of the weekend. Full disclosure, recording this on Thursday, halftime of the Thursday night game at the time of the recording. So any injury concerns that pop up, okay, so just be aware of it. Double check the players I talk about today. Okay, at the running back position, 3 running backs to mention. I'm going to list them in the order I like them. Number 1, Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs against the Houston Texans in Houston. It's a complete must start. The Houston Texans dead last, 32nd, in allowing fantasy points to opposing running backs in a PPR format, 29.5 points per game. Now, I understand he doesn't catch much out of the backfield, does Pacheco. Jerick McKinnon has kind of taken that role over. However, the Houston Texans have allowed 18 total touchdowns. The opportunity will be there for Pacheco to get into the end zone on the ground. McKinnon can also score through the air. You saw the Dallas running backs all get in the end zone last week. Pacheco is $5,900 on DraftKings, averaging 7.3 points per game, but he's got 10 or more fantasy points in his last 4 with over 60 yards per game and 2 touchdowns over those 4 games. Terrific matchup for Pacheco. I get him in as many lineups as I can. Second running back to mention today, Zonovan Knight going back to the Jets against the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions are 9th in the league against running backs. They kind of limit points, 20.7 points per game to the running back position, but they have allowed 13 touchdowns. And let's just acknowledge the obvious. Zonovan Knight is the guy in the Jets backfield. Forget about Michael Carter, James Robinson, Ty Johnson, whoever else is creeping through your mind. Move on and forget about it. Zonovan Knight's workload screams workhorse running back in light of the Breece Hall injury from earlier in the season. He's $5,300 on DraftKings, yet in his 3 games played, he's averaging 15.3 points per game. He's got 13 or more fantasy points in all 3 games. He's gotten at least between 17 and 20 touches, rushing and receiving, okay, in all 3 games. That is a workhorse load between 17 and 20 touches, and he's totaled over 100 yards in 2 out of the 3 formats. Again, Jets will move the ball. Zonovan Knight should be in a position to get carries and to get some goal line work as well. Get him in your lineups. And the number 3 running back I'll mention today, I don't love him. Let me be clear about that. But I did want to mention J.K. Dobbins if you're in dire straits because of his matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Now, he's $5,200 on DraftKings. He's averaging 11 points per game, and he had a nice return from injury last week, 15 carries for 120 yards. But the real reason I'm mentioning him is because I continue to look at running backs against that Browns defense. A Browns defense that's 30th in the league against opposing running backs. 28 points per game they allow to the position, and they've allowed 17 touchdowns. Now, the problem we know is we don't know. I can't imagine J.K. Dobbins getting anything more than those 15 touches. He's not going to catch the ball much out of the backfield. Gus Edwards is still involved. We know the situation. That knee is a shell of what a knee should be for J.K. Dobbins. So we got to be mindful of that. And that's why I have him 3rd as a desperation sleeper value play. But after Pacheco and after Knight of the New York Jets. Now, at the wide receiver position, I was a little surprised by the price tag on my first wide receiver. And that's Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts. That he's under 6,000. He's $5,800 on DraftKings. Yet he averages 14 points per game. Okay? He's got 12 or more fantasy points in 4 out of his last 6 games. And in those 4 out of 6, he's had at least 7 receptions. And he's on the road against the Minnesota defense that, quite honestly, can't stop anybody in the passing game. They're 30th in the league in allowing points to opposing wide receivers. They allow 42.1 points per game in a PPR format to the wide receiver position. And Minnesota's allowed 19 passing touchdowns, 12 of them to wide receivers. That secondary is Swiss cheese, to put it frankly. You can carve them up. Michael Pittman in a nice spot, especially in PPR league, to accumulate plenty of targets, be heavily involved, possibly go over 100 yards, and get you a touchdown as well. Get him in lineups this week. If you're concerned with, let's say, T. Higgins, right? The hamstring didn't play last week. Other injuries that may have crept into your lineup or in a DFS format. My second wide receiver, and this is the deepest of deep dives. This is the sleeper of all sleepers. But be mindful of New York Giants wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins. Over the last 2 games has become a favorite of Daniel Jones. Now, I don't think the Giants win this game. I think Washington is the better team. I think the Giants are in free fall. All of that. But that being said, Hodgins has 3,800, as I brutalize his name. Hodgins at 3,800 on DraftKings, averaging 8.1 points per game. But he has been a red zone target of Daniel Jones over the last 2 games with 15 or more fantasy points. 6 targets in each of the last 2. He's had a touchdown in each of the last 2. The Giants, I expect, my gut reaction is they're going to be playing from behind, which is not good for the Giants offense. It's not made to play that way. But nonetheless, Hodgins should be heavily involved, especially if they get in the red zone. Washington is 16th, middle of the pack, against opposing wide receivers. They allow 34 points per game to the position, have allowed 20 passing touchdowns, 11 of which have gone to wide receivers. So Isaiah Hodgins of the New York Giants, dirt cheap on DraftKings, 3,800. If you build a super team, you're looking for somebody to fill a flex spot, whatever it may be, give him a flyer at $3,800. And finally, at the tight end position, Greg Dulcich of the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson may or may not play. We see where that's at. Again, I'm recording as of Thursday evening. So by the time you see this on Saturday, we should have a better idea of if he's going to play or not. But nonetheless, Dulcich is going against the worst defense in terms of defending tight ends, the Arizona Cardinals. They are dead last in allowing points to the tight end position. 18.1 points per game to tight ends. Arizona has allowed 24 passing touchdowns, 9 of which to the tight end position. Dulcich is priced at $3,600 on DraftKings and averaging 8.8 points per game. But an important piece to remember, okay, he's targeted heavily. He's second in targets right now to Jerry Jeudy over the last couple of weeks since Courtland Sutton's been injured. He's had 8 targets each of the last 2 games. Now, they haven't always translated to receptions, but he remains a go-to on that Denver offense. It's just a matter of the quarterback getting him the ball. But Dulcich at 3,600, like Hodgins, a low-level, a low-cost play to fill in a lineup if you need to make some financial decisions on DraftKings, or if you've been streaming tight ends all season long and looking for somebody who may be available off the waiver wire. All right, so to recap, running backs, Isaiah Pacheco, Zonovan Knight, J.K. Dobbins in that order. Wide receivers, Michael Pittman of the Colts, Isaiah Hodgins of the New York Giants, and then the tight end of the Denver Broncos, Greg Dulcich. All right, everybody, don't forget, head over to RotoBaller.com. Check out everything we have there. Sign up for the Premium Pass, whether it's football or you're getting ready for your fantasy baseball season. Football will carry you through the DFS, the playoffs, whatever you're looking for. Baseball time is coming, so we get ready for that. NBA, fantasy basketball, whatever it is you want, sports betting, RotoBaller.com has all of that for you. Sign up with the promo code ACES. Save yourself some money at checkout. Give me a follow on Twitter at Aniano Fantasy. Like and subscribe right here to the RotoBaller YouTube channel. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on RotoBaller Radio.